Hey guys, welcome back to Defeating Hair Loss. My name is Steve, and tonight we're going to talk about the types of hair transplants that are extremely challenging for any clinic. The top in the world, the best hair doctor in the world. What are the challenging hair transplants? Well, we're going to start off with African American. Now, I guess if we talk globally, we're going to use the words patients with some African descent, especially if they have that strong, kinky, curly hair. It is what it is, okay? It's great hair. It's one of the top three in the world. There's Middle Eastern, there's Spanish, and then there's of African descent. The hair is beautiful, but it's very hard to work with. And we'll stick with African American for this video. The skin as well is a little bit stronger, so it's harder to work with as well. That's just a fact. So what does that mean? You can't have a hair transplant if you're an African American patient? No, not at all. You need to find a clinic that has a lot of experience working with that type of skin and that type of hair. The traction alopecia that is a result of tension, mainly on female patients that are African American, is very challenging. It's challenging for two reasons. Number one, what I just said, and number two, that they have amazing hair for the most part everywhere else. So they have this really beautiful head of hair and then nothing in the front edges because that's where the hair's been pulled out. Now, the challenging part of that is how to duplicate that amazing hair in the back of the transplant, which is kind of the case with all patients anyway, but it's even more so with that beautiful, thick mane of hair. So that's why we tell all those female patients that are African American, well, I tell all patients, no matter who they are, always plan on a second procedure. Women in general should always do two procedures. They just seem to be more articulate and they want to turn back the clock to where they were, not just cover a bald head. So the African American patient is very challenging. They're challenging because of that skin, because of that hair, but the same applies to those Middle Eastern men or Middle Eastern women, or even some of the Spanish that have that thick, ropey hair in the back. I warned them that taking that thick, strong, amazing hair out of the back and putting it into the front is going to be super masculine. Now, if you're one of these, machismo guys and, walks around big and strong and talk real tough, that might work for you. If you're a female, that might not work for you. Or if you're someone that just wants everything so perfectly natural, that may not work for you. So you have to be prepared for that. You don't want to be dissatisfied. And you should always plan on two procedures, as I said just a minute ago, because we want to make sure that all those single-haired grafts in the front are spaced out properly so that it looks very natural, trying to make kind of some sort of consolation for that super strong hair. That hair can be so strong. Remember, we're talking about challenging hair transplants. That hair can be so strong that it can actually cause some bumps. It can cause inflammation into the skin because you're taking this super ropey strong hair, you're putting it in a zone in a very fine instrumentation that creates a site that creates a little bit of inflammation. That can happen. That'll always go away. It was done properly, but you may see a little bit of bumps. This is what I mean by challenging hair transplants. Curly hair is under the same category. You've got this kind of normal hairline that you've receded, and you see yourself over the last 3, 5, 10 years of hair kind of thinning out, and you're used to less hair in the front, which is kind of normal, and thinner hair in the front, which is kind of natural, and all single-haired grafts or hairs because Mother Nature put them there. Now you're losing them, and then you take this wavy curly hair from the back and you put it in the front. You look different. Now, I know we want to look better, we want to have more hair, we want to have stronger hairlines, but you could go back to your hair surgeon and say, hey man, nobody told me that this curly hair from the back was going to be curly in the front. Well, they probably did. It's a lot of information. You should pay real close attention because that's what's going to happen. So if you're not cool with having curly or wavy hair in the back and putting it in the front, don't do a hair transplant. The last type of challenging patient is somebody that you would expect me to say. Thin, fine, wispy hair on a big bald head. Now, most of those doctors out there that I would refer you to that are really good at this and been doing this for a really long time, they're probably going to pass on that. They're going to tell those patients that they're just not a good candidate for hair transplant. I don't want to sit here and tell you that I know better than the doctors and I, want to do a hair transplant on them. But all I'm saying is if that is you and someone says they're going to do your hair transplant, you better be prepared that you're going to have a thin, fine result. So what no doctor wants is a patient to come back after 12 months or maybe 2 procedures 24 to 36 months and say, you know what? Looking back on this, if I knew this is what it was going to look like, I would have never done it. So don't be the person I was. And it wasn't that I did anything wrong, just that I really didn't know anything at the time. My first hair transplant, I wanted to look like the guy in Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta. He had an Italian mop of hair. I wasn't Italian, and I definitely didn't have a mop of hair, not even in the donor zone. So I kept going and going and going and going and trying to achieve until like my third or fourth hair transplant, I finally realized that I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to take this Western European hair and put it here and make it look Italian. So that's all about expectations. It worked out for me, but we want to make sure it works out for you. So these are just some examples. There's more. I'll get into them with other videos, but be very careful with your expectations. Make sure you choose a clinic that really knows what they're doing, that's board certified and can help you. Because if you're a challenging patient, then we need to talk. We need to make sure you're prepared. Not that you can't do it, you just need to be prepared. So I hope this helps you in your decision making for fighting hair loss. Don't forget to like and subscribe.